What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Where Did All My Friends Go? Podcast about life in the music industry. I'm your host, Patrick Tarnowski. Gibby is not with us today. He is somewhere else. I don't know. Traveling, probably, possibly to a wedding. But I may find out when he talks to me again. But today, we are blessed and gracious to have content creator Jessica Conrad on the show. Jessica, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm super stoked to have you as well. Been following you for a bit now. And I was stoked when I saw that you were, like I said, when I've talked to you about this like in a message, but you were on our friends podcast, the Elder Emo Hours.
Oh, that's right. I remember you told me that.
Yes.
I love them.
Yeah.
They were so sweet. They were like actually one of the first few podcasts I did when I first started out, which is crazy to think it's been that long already. But yeah, they
Yeah.
are absolutely sweet human beings. And that was such a fun episode to film. So
Yeah, they're awesome. We're taking part in their Elder Emo Awards this year. We're helping.
oh, it's so fun.
Yeah, we are helping with the voting process. So whoever wins, it's because of us. No, we're part of it. We're just part of it.
Hey, I vote every year too, so I can only imagine how much paperwork and how much goes into that too. Because it wasn't terribly long, but it was actually really cool to see how many bands were nominated that were small as well. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
It
it's huge.
yeah, I mean they definitely put on a big thing, and when it first starts out, it goes into like tiers for all of their stuff, and you have to, like, a lot of them I hadn't heard, so it was like listening through like 20 songs. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a little whelming. It's a little whelming right now.
Oh yeah, you definitely have your work cut out, especially if you have to go through all of those ballots. My goodness, I feel for you.
Yeah. All right, so for our listeners who may not have seen your videos yet, you started TikTok in about 2021 and gained traction quickly with your Emo Scene Kids series. Could you tell us a little bit about like how you kind of came up with that and what made you decide to start doing that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I, like as you said, I started in 2021 and I kind of just made a goal for myself. I just wanted to like push myself to try TikTok because it looked fun. I
Mm-hmm.
just didn't really have any like anticipation on becoming like a creator. I just kind of wanted to do it just for the fun aspect where I think a lot of people just, were bored in the pandemic.
Oh yeah,
But
totally.
yeah, like I think everybody was kind of glued to their phone and it was just, a really different time. Even looking back to 2021, it feels like we were in a completely different world at the time,
Mm-hmm.
which it feels like forever ago, but yesterday still at the same time.
Right.
But I started seeing a lot of like nostalgia based videos, like, a lot of like getting ready and like, mid to late 2000s kind of things. And I just kind of was missing the mark of where my interest lied. And I was like, I don't see anybody doing this. Like,
Yeah.
nobody's talking about like, like some of the really niche things like in the music industry. I mean, there were definitely like some things popping up here and there, but I wasn't really seeing a whole lot of like representation. And so a couple years prior, I had gone through like all of like, my childhood belongings. Like my mom sold our home. And so I had like a lot of stuff really fresh. And I was just like, I kind of went through like one of my old boxes and I was like, hey, I still have like, the shirt from 2006. And it's just been sitting in this box for years. And I was like, let's just have fun with this. I just got this
Yeah.
idea and I ran with it and it just like blew up. I did one and it just took off and I was just really shocked. And then I kind of just started, jumping a little bit more and it felt like every single video was like popping off and going viral. And I was like, oh, it felt like it happened so fast.
Yeah.
And then I lost my job a couple months later and I was like, all right, now what do I do? So I just kind of leaned in harder and just kept pushing through and like unsure like what the outcome was going to be. And I mean, it was just months and months of just like grinding and it it got the attention of a lot of labels. It got the
Hmm.
attention of a lot of festivals, and so like one of my first partnerships, I got to work one of the biggest rock festivals in the US, and I'm like, that is nuts. So it's been a really cool journey, and it just kind of keeps evolving. And we're 3 years in now, and some of the opportunities I've gotten to do are just nothing I would have ever dreamed of. So it's been a really cool journey just to kind of connect with not only people who like felt that were in like a similar spot that I was in, or just also kind of just rediscover that love and how cool it was, and just hold, kind of just mutually bond with people over those shared memories. And it's just a really cool aspect to the internet.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I saw that pretty recently you just kind of partnered with So What Festival
Mm-hmm.
and for is for Lovers Fest.
Yes.
That's pretty. Those are fun. Like and the video, like, well, the is for lovers video especially was fun.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I had a lot of fun with that one. That one, I was like, let's just pack this thing with so much nostalgia. And
yeah.
it was really cool. And I was kind of bummed. I was hoping to go down to both of those ones, but just scheduling kind of didn't really
Hmm.
work out this year for either of those. But I definitely want to try to make it out there again this next year if I can. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool how many people, I think also the pandemic kind of, respiked that love for the nostalgia. And I think a lot of
Yeah,
people kind of, came back into it, or maybe, leaned in harder, or, continued it. So
yeah, totally. No, I mean, like pop punk. Everybody loves to give shit, but like, it was during the pandemic and stuff when pop punk really started to make its own comeback. I feel a lot of
mm,
that was because bands like Newfound Glory and MXPX especially, I think,
hmm
because they were like, you know what, fuck it, let's put on live stream shows, well, and do it constantly. I think I watched like three at Newfound Glories. I watched like Dashboard Confessional. Like the pop punk and emo bands, like they leaned into it hard, and they're like, well, let's give people something.
hmm
To and they were the first, if like I or at least one of the first bands I saw doing that, and either making it free or very cheap to do it.
Yeah, and I totally agree too, and I think that was a really smart decision for a lot of bands, because it not only gave people something to do, and it also, like I said, it gave gave people something familiar too that
Yeah.
maybe they grew up on, or but I think also too, like that, I always refer to the elder emo community who were, chronically online. I think that was a really we're all kind of perpetually still chronically online, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's been really cool to see how many bands pivoted during that time, and even still too, with like there's a lot of unforeseen circumstances that have been happening with shows, just cancellations or
Hmm.
stuff like that, and just seeing still how many bands are still really persevering through that and popping up with sideshows, popping up over
Yeah.
here. They're like, and that's where I think that this community really thrives. Is it is so tight knit, and
Hmm.
you wouldn't get the same kind of effect in a pop for a pop music artist. You know what I mean? Not that
No.
there's any hate or anything on that.
No,
I think
no.
I definitely love me some pop too, but I think
Yeah,
it's this environment, you can definitely feel the love, and you can feel that sense of like camaraderie. It's very different than any other genre.
I agree. And just like it can be like said with a lot of that, just the rock in general will do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Foo Fighters did a bunch of stuff like that. But you're right. Like you don't see like if Taylor Swift's show were to like cancel for something, she's not going to go out to the parking lot and be like, we'll do it acoustic. Like, I'll just yell to you. She's not. But
Yeah.
but Senses Fail, they're going to do that. You
Oh,
know,
100%.
you know,
100%.
like most of the like the bands in the scene are going to do something like that. They're still going to give you that show, you know, or do everything they possibly can to do that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And especially if, I was like hypothetically thinking if Taylor Swift, to pop up in a parking lot, that would get
I,
so out of hand so
I'd
fast.
I'd poop myself. I'd
Yeah.
be She just shows up in a Lowe's, you know.
And a Lowe's. That's like the new Taco Bell parking lot show. You
Yeah,
know, like,
it's gonna be her and Silly Goose. You know, Silly Goose is gonna open for her because they play lots of parking lots. Have you
oh,
heard
what
Silly
a!
Goose?
I have not. No.
Woo. You you
No.
gotta check it out. I brought this up so many times. They're like a young, like new metal band, like Limp Bizkit type, and they're like rap rock, and they're so great. But they started out, they made a name for themselves now, touring outside of shows. Like, so yeah,
I think I've seen TikToks about this.
you for
I
sure
think I
have.
have, and I was like, I just okay. That sounds really familiar.
And they're awesome. They're just awesome.
I think I have seen that. If it's the same band I'm thinking of, the shows look amazing.
Yeah, they like tour, like they did a whole tour. They brought like a traveling like stage and stuff, and so like made out of, you know, wood. It's just built on a trailer, and like they will play outside like of a stadium or of a concert venue or just in a parking lot outside somewhere until the cops shut it down. It's
That's a
awesome.
smart marketing move. It really
Oh yeah.
is. Like it's a really cool way. That's like the new like Warp Tour handing out CDs in the line as you go in to the venue. Like that's essentially like what that is. And I love that for them that they're that committed.
Yeah,
Like hands down, that is
it's
hats off
genius.
to them. Yeah.
Genius. All right. If you had to create an emo starter kit, what items would you include in it?
like like if you have to dress emo or like or just like in general, like
Just
things
a
that would collectively make it up.
sure.
Okay. I would have to say red eyeshadow's a must.
Okay.
Red eyeshadow, probably some graphic liner. I'm limited to five. Is that right? Or
No, it was just an emo starter kit. Sky's the limit.
okay. Um. Hmm. You know, a starter. I'd say there's definitely going to be some Monster Energy drink in
There
that.
should be, for sure.
Um.
You need to stay awake to be, you
It's
know, and you know, when you cry a lot, it, you know, you get
it's
tired.
draining.
It's
It's
draining.
draining. Yeah, you gotta ramp it back up so you
Yeah.
can do it all over again.
So you can keep crying, you know?
Yeah, to sustain. I'm trying to like look around, like literally in my office where I have all of like my stuff that I film with. Oh gosh. I feel like a hoodie with thumb holes is a staple.
Sure. Totally.
That is definitely I feel like that's universal. We're like through the decades.
Some kind of studded belt.
Yeah, say a studded belt, I feel like is another one of those things too. And the shoes are so interchangeable by generation, so I definitely don't want
Hmm.
to like pick something like that. And I
Yep.
would say paired with some teenaged angst.
Yeah. Fair.
I think that's my dream emo starter pack.
That's a good starter pack, you know. I would start out with like, you know, depending on the hoodie, you know, anywhere from 50 to $100 for your starter pack.
It's true, yeah. Which is actually kind of spendy if you think about it. Like,
I know,
and
but
I
I
think
mean, a hoodie itself is like $40 or more now.
that is so true. And it's just so weird too. I know I've talked about this before, but I cannot believe and I know like inflation plays like it
Oh,
plays a factor in this.
inflation's awful.
Like the things now, like some of the stuff that I have is is mine from the time, and some of it I
Yeah.
got rid of, and I've kind of reacquired it back.
Right.
I cannot believe the prices on some of these things, like stuff that I had as
Yeah.
a teen,
Hmm.
is probably more now than it was at the time.
Hmm.
And it's 20, almost 20 years old now.
So, I mean, just even thinking about just the bare bones basic of stuff, t-shirts, right? Just like
Hmm.
a band tee. So, like, if you're going to a local show now, you're gonna a cheap shirt, if you're lucky, is gonna be $25 for at a local show.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking in my head before
25,
you even said it.
25 or 30,
Which is pretty standard, yeah.
That's standard now. That's
Mm-hmm.
insane. Like back when I was like first starting out in bands and performing and stuff, we sold our shirts for 10 freaking bucks. 15 if we were looking to be spendy.
That's wild.
Think of that huge markup. Like for a local band, it was 10 to 15 bucks. When we had to up our prices to 20, we were not stoked on it.
Yeah, I'm sure because it probably limits how many items you can sell too.
Mm-hmm.
People, aren't, times have changed too, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's like sickening to think about. I had like a weird realization the other day. I was looking at something online. I was like, hey, I had that. And I looked at the price from when it was then to now. And I'm like, it just like blew my mind. It's just really crazy too. Like, which is interesting too, because I feel like a lot of like I feel like more band merch for like bigger bands. Yes, it's expensive,
It's
but I feel
crazy.
it depends on the band. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, that's pretty reasonable. But sometimes, and I'm like, you've got to be out of your damn mind. Like
Mm-hmm.
I go either one extreme or the other.
Well,
Uh,
I think I don't remember who it was, but one of the bigger bands I saw, I think no, I bought a fucking shirt for like $60 a t-shirt.
I believe it. I do.
It's awful. It's like, dude, you're already like the rich band. Like
Hmm.
what the hell do you need? Like the local bands should be having to charge that. You should be charging 10.
Yeah, I know. It's like, and I get it. Like everybody's got to make their money.
Yeah.
Everything has to be, it's
You
just
got
really,
big teams,
yeah. It's hard. Like I get both sides of it, but at the same time, from a consumer standpoint, I'm like, is there any options? Is there like cheaper? Like, before like you could go to merch tables and there was like, you wanted to get like a bracelet or like a tote
Mm-hmm.
bag, it'd be, $5-10, and now they're like 30. And I'm like, it's just interesting to. I mean, it's just the world we live in now, and it's not to like talk shit or anything on bands or anything.
No,
It's just really crazy to see that
it's
like
hard.
there's just yeah, like it is hard, and it's hard to kind of see, especially like I mean, probably both of our ages, we've kind of been in the scene for a while. We've
Yeah.
seen that fluctuation, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
like it's very jarring. It's very,
Yeah.
very jarring, but
Mm-hmm.
it's business. I get it. It
It's
still sucks.
it's tough, yeah. But to be a successful like smaller band, you definitely have to have like at our like Unsigned Pop Punk, like our merch table, we'll have stuff for between $2 stickers,
Yeah.
$2 and $50. Like a hoodie, I could sell my hoodie for $60, but I don't. I'm not going to do that.
Hmm.
That's just too much. I'd rather you have it than
Yeah.
make a like a $30 markup.
Which that's yeah, I love the dedication, and I love that you keep it like accessible and boutique. I think that's a really cool element. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's
Well, and
uh,
same as like I have that, that local band mentality. I'm still looking to grow too. I just want you to
mhm.
wear it. I want you to have my stuff out there. So
Yeah. Well, and those people too. They'll remember that. They'll wear
yeah,
that and they'll go, "Hey, like that guy was like super nice to me," and like they're gonna hold on to those memories. They're gonna appreciate that too. And I think that community is everything, especially in the local scene too.
totally. And I just love our scene. It's good people. Good people doing
I
good
love
things.
that.
So back to like your content creation. You recently passed 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is
Yes.
hell yeah. Congrats on that. That's
Crazy. Thank
massive.
you.
What differences and similarities have you found posting on different platforms? Like are there things that you found work better on YouTube rather than TikTok or Instagram?
It's just, you know what? It's really different communities everywhere. And
Yeah.
it's been kind of a learning curve. I was somebody I don't know why, but YouTube always really intimidated me. I was like, oh,
Hmm.
that's like where everybody who's like a pro goes. I didn't feel like I like it sounds so weird to say out loud, but I just didn't feel like I was like, I don't have a place there. But I don't know what I was thinking when I was thinking that. But I had a couple of friends kind of urge me. They're like, hey, like I really think you should like get on YouTube Shorts. Like it's a really
Hmm.
cool place. It's just different, and it's and especially like with the uncertainty of TikTok, they're like, hey, like it's kind of like a nice, fun community over there.
Hmm.
I was like, okay. So they kind of pushed me to give it a shot. So I just kind of started, uploading stuff, and it was kind of dead for like 6 months. It was
Yeah.
like nothing really was happening. And then I think just like the consistency, like I had one video upload and then it just like popped off. And I was like, okay,
YouTube
cool.
loves consistency.
They do, and that's what was really nice about it is then I started uploading stuff, and then it was like things were like consistently like performing amazing, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And so I only started uploading last year. I started around July of last year
Okay.
uploading, and a year later it's been like 100,000 subscribers, and I'm like, holy moly. But I will say a lot of my YouTube subscribers, which is so my demographic is usually around my age on
Sure.
most platforms, because again, like a lot of people who experience that, they're like, oh, like this is accurate.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because YouTube, most of my subscribers are between 13 and 17 years old,
Oh,
which
all right.
really surprised me. And which is awesome. Like, I think that's really cool that it's reaching a whole new generation and they're really wanting to learn. They're trying to learn about,
Yeah.
the ins and outs because it really came back again. Like, I think, like you said, pandemic, a lot of it kind of resurfaced again. I see a whole new younger generation really
Hmm.
running with it, kind of, modifying it and making it their own, which I think is really cool to see, like in my lifetime where it was really popular, and it wasn't like when we were growing up. I wasn't sure exactly how old like you are or anything. I definitely don't want to like generalize it, but I feel like around like our age, like it was big, but it
Yeah.
wasn't like widely accepted. Like if you were kind of like into that, like it was like like it was big within the community, but like aside from that, removed from society, it wasn't massive.
Oh yeah.
But now like seeing where there's a whole new generation that's like, oh, this is cool, taking it, embracing it, and I make the joke all the time where we have a whole emo renaissance
Yeah.
all over again. But I feel
It's
like
true.
I feel like it's bigger than it ever has been, which is
Hmm.
amazing for this industry and the artists involved in there to grow and be able to do that.
Hmm.
But it's just been really interesting to kind of navigate. I feel like I think a lot of people on TikTok are closer and to my age and a little bit younger, but
Hmm.
YouTube's just polar opposite.
Sure.
It's just mostly younger kids. And I think it's also one of those things too, where especially knowing now, I think it's a little scarier for me too, is because knowing I have a whole younger generation of eyes
Yeah.
wanting to learn,
Hmm.
there are certain things that we grew up with that should stay in the past and we should not glorify. So that's like one thing I
Absolutely.
try to
Yeah,
really,
totally. Yeah.
it's, I definitely don't want to like play into, that, I mean, I think you and I both know that there's a lot of things that went on in that era that were not cool, or
Uh,
just the
yes.
dialect, the bullying. And I definitely I don't want to continue to perpetuate that. I don't want that to continue into another
Yeah.
generation. So I do try
Just
to actively be aware.
pushing the positive out of what was in our generation and stuff. There was a lot there's a lot of messed up stuff, and
Oh, yeah.
once again it's always like, oh, it was a different time, you know,
Hmm.
but it doesn't make it okay. It's just
No.
it's like a lot of our dialect and things that words that we used back then and stuff, it was better than our predecessors, but it was still bad. So
Yeah, like, and I think it's like hindsight's 2020, or like, yeah, hindsight's 20. Is
yep,
that the right saying? I
it
can't
is. I
say it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, hindsight's
Yeah,
2020. Be confident in yourself. You had it.
yeah. Like it's one of those things too, where I think at the time you could realize it, but then looking down the road as you mature, and like
Hmm.
now that my brain is fully developed, I go, that's like I knew it was bad, but like through an adult lens, that's even worse than what I thought it was.
Totally.
So, but it's cool. It's cool to be able to, shape and have a whole generation that really wants to learn, that really wants to understand that.
Hmm.
But, like I said, I do want to try to make sure that I am responsible with what I do because, you know, it I definitely don't want to perpetuate any of those terrible negativity, those terrible things that, and it's also something to think about, like I say all the time as well, is that, when we were growing up, the internet was new.
Oh yeah.
Our parents, like, I mean, when I was in school, it took several years for the school to figure out how to block YouTube. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just, we could pull it up, we could watch, but then as, people became more aware of that too, like, it got locked down and there's, was more parental, safeties in place. And it's just interesting. It's interesting to see the things kind of come full swing and evolve as time goes on. But
yeah. Well, with you talking about like your YouTube followers being a different age, that actually makes a lot of sense to me though, because you do a lot of shorts. And
yeah.
so that, like, the reason it makes sense to me is I have kids, and
Mm-hmm.
my son, he's 11. He's not allowed to have TikTok, but
Mm-hmm.
he has YouTube, and so all he watches are YouTube shorts over and over and over and over again. So like it makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense that the younger generation would be watching more shorts and stuff like that than TikTok, because a lot of them probably don't have TikTok yet.
Yeah, and that makes sense too. Where like a lot of parents probably limit,
Mm-hmm.
or just and I just looking back now, I was 14 when I got on the internet with the MySpace, and I was like, looking back, if I were to have kids now, I'd probably be like, let's not do that. Like, so I definitely don't blame parents for not allowing social
Yeah,
media usage. It just the things
totally.
I was subjected to at that age, I just don't.
And bullying has gotten nothing but worse.
Oh,
It's
100%.
only worse. But funny little story to give you even a bit more of a hint to my age. I was the first in my friend group to have AOL, not AOL
Okay.
Instant Messenger, the hard
Like the
disk,
dial up, yeah.
the disk of popping that into yeah. So I
I
had,
remember those.
oh boy, it was good. It was a good time.
I think we got like a free trial in a magazine. Did you ever like when you open a
Everyone, yeah,
magazine and
yep,
then it had like the little CD disc and it was like a little envelope and you were like, "What's that?" And then it just
yep,
had like the little trial where you could pop it in.
yeah,
That's so niche, and I totally forgot about that until you
yeah,
said that. But
yeah, dude, it was awesome. Uh, that's when the internet was like the Wild West, though, because you really didn't know what you were doing on there. Like,
no.
I don't even remember like what I did on there.
I think it was just so fascinating. I'm sure you were probably just trying to absorb and watch how people interacted.
And
Like,
spend 20 minutes trying to like download a picture to look at. Oh,
oh my gosh,
like
yes.
this was the coolest picture I've ever seen.
And it would take so long, and it'd be like,
You're just
uh,
watching like little bits of it at a time. Oh,
yeah. Which is so my family is really like was really behind on technology. So we had dial up probably till about I want to say like either '07 or '08. So we
oh,
had dial up for a very, very, very long time. And I think we switched I want to say it was like '07 we switched over. So we had like dial up from like 2003. So several years. So yeah, trying
one
to watch a video took hours. Hours.
one of my favorite nostalgia things, those AOL Instant Messenger. Boy, did was that the best. Having your night. Well, I'm gonna go. I got to put my away message up.
Yep, and it had to be so dramatic
It
too.
had to be some sort of song lyric or something, or just something dramatic.
Yeah, I just miss the simplicity of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was just so, which is crazy to think now is like, I say this a lot like to like friends and family, where it's like I feel like there's just so many options now where we have
Mhm.
almost essentially decision fatigue, where we
Yeah.
feel so connected to everything at to the point where we're so disconnected now. But that's
Yeah.
where I miss like the simplicity of like MySpace. I miss the simplicity of just AOL Instant Messenger. You could just check in with a friend,
Hmm.
and it wasn't on the phone. It was like you actually had to actively
Be on a
reach out to
computer.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So,
you didn't carry your computer with you yet. You were like, well, I'm at home, so that was AOL Instant Messenger was like the same thing as like as having like a landline. You had to be
mhm,
at home on a computer to message them, and you had to hope that they were at their computer.
right. That was like the worst too, where you'd message them and they're like, they're not online. Or like they would get on they'd get on the phone and then it would just boop, boop.
Yeah. You're just looking, be like, are they online? Oh man. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, the simplicity of it, a lot of people will say, like, I wish we could have that now. That wouldn't work now, though. That's why it's
No.
gone. It's dead technology.
Yeah. I will say
But
it's been really fun to see that so many, younger people now are really embracing digital cameras.
yeah.
I think that that's been a really fun thing. I've gone out and I've seen, people even in their early 20s with digital cameras, and I'm like, oh, it just warms my heart because it's like I think it's like another reason to get off the phone. It's like
Yeah.
not being glued on the phone. It's
Hmm.
let's have fun, let's put the phone away, let's just focus on the moment. And like that's it. And I love that. I've seen that at shows, I've seen that like just out and about. And I think that is something that is really cool to see come back as well.
I also like seeing like the handy cams. Like I've been
Hmm.
seeing a lot more people having like the shitty quality Sony handy cam, that's
Yeah, like
like,
a dad in Disneyland.
yeah.
Like,
but it's young people now that have it. I
yes.
remember I had a camera, like one of those big black ones that you stuck on your shoulder. I mean, it was my mom's. I was real little, but it was like a 90s camera. It was awesome.
Yeah. I have
I
one actually in my other room right now. I have all my like stuff that I borrowed from like my mom's house, but I have one just sitting in my other room and it's so beefy.
you're gonna
So
have to
beefy.
you're gonna have to figure out a way to make some sort of video with that.
I should. I really should. It's just like holding it up, I'm just like I feel like I'm like weightlifting. I'm like, how do we
Yeah.
just
Yeah, we didn't make long videos with those.
no. No, not at all.
Uh, do you have a dream person that you'd like to do a collaboration with?
Oh, that's a good question. I have a lot. I would absolutely die if I ever got to do a collab with Matt Cuttrell. I think of that's
Yeah.
something I see that constantly too. Um, and I've been a big fan of his even since Vine. So
Hmm.
I
He's so
it's
funny.
he is, and it's very effortless. And I love that he's just, I think what he's done is really cool too, because not only has he just made content around that, he has evolved it into an entire brand where he has a
Yeah.
cruise, where he brings, bands. He did a pop
Hmm.
up at when we were young last year in Las Vegas, bringing all these bands and sideshows. So it's really cool to see him not only just making the content, but being really involved in the
Hmm.
scene and still actively, bringing
And
that out.
releasing a fucking stellar album too.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I was just gonna say that too, but yeah,
It's
he
so
does
good.
amazing things. So
Yeah.
it is. It really is.
I think I think hopefully I hope this happens because I mean, it's kind of the perfect pairing.
I
You got,
agree.
especially if you did, even if you did like some sort of like funny, like one of your videos where you're like, "Are bangs back?" and then it switches, but if both of you did that, sky's the limit.
Yes, I know we should make it happen one of these days.
What
Well,
if
eventually, I'm sure we'll get there, but
if Matt's watching, you know, hopefully
yes,
Matt
or
Matt
Matt's
watch,
team. Let's make this
yeah,
happen.
Matt's team. Let's watch this. Speaking of, I actually just recently watched this, and one of your videos, and it kills me. It made me laugh so hard. It's one of my wife's favorite moments. She talks about it every year, but not enough people do it. And when I saw you do it, I thought it was amazing. Your April 25th video
Oh yes.
from Miss Congeniality. Not enough people know about that.
No, that's one of my favorite movies, and I was way too young to watch that movie when that came out, and it's just that is one of those movies where it holds up. Like it gets funnier, I think, as I get older. I'm like, this is so much funnier than like as I think I watched that when I was like, I want to say like 10 or 11 years old, which
Sure.
and like now that I'm in like my 30s, and I'm like, gosh, this is just comedic gold. But yeah,
Yeah.
I do it every year too. I'm like, it's April 25th. And I haven't gotten around to making a video, and I just could not skip that national holiday. You know,
It's a perfect date.
it is a perfect day. And you know what? It was raining the day on April 25th this year.
I remember it was very nice here. It was and so my wife like said it multiple times that day. But we were actually me and my wife were just talking to our daughter yesterday about Sandra Bullock. Like she was telling her, she's like, you have to watch Miss Congeniality and me being the dumb boy. I was like, no, you have to watch Speed. Both are great.
She's amazing in everything she does. I love her in The Proposal too. That's probably one of my one of
That's
her
very
funnier
good.
roles too. Like
Yeah,
she can play anyone. She really can. I don't think she is bad in a movie.
no. And it doesn't hurt, having Ryan Reynolds and like as your co-star.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I love Ryan Reynolds.
Oh yeah.
He's amazing.
He is amazing. Probably the funniest sexy man on the planet.
That's fair. That's fair. Him and Ryan Gosling both, but
Ryan Gosling is so underrated for his comedy, I think. Like,
I love watching him on SNL whenever he does performances too,
yeah.
because he breaks every single time.
That
Every time.
Beavis and Butthead is probably one of the greatest SNL skits in 20 years.
I'm glad that you said that because I wholeheartedly agree.
I died. Like I thought that was so funny. We were actually randomly watching that live. I never watched Saturday Night Live, but I was watching
Yeah.
that one.
It's just so good though, and it's funny because I can't remember the other actress who's in there. Like she cannot hold it together
No.
at all. Like she's like busting at the seams. Like
they looked insane. It was so great. They were perfect.
Whoever did the makeup, like A+. Like that's oh my gosh, that was so good. I used to watch Saturday Night Live. I watched it a lot in like high school, like in the later 2000s. Andy Samberg era SNL is forever my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite sketch of all time, speaking of which, is the Single Ladies one they did with Beyonce.
Okay. I don't think I remember that one.
It's Andy Samberg, Justin Timberlake, and Bobby are all Beyonce's backup dancers, and they're directing. It's got like Paul Rudd, and there's like we're directing the music video for Single Ladies, and then they're all in leotards and heels.
Beautiful.
And you can't find it on the internet anymore. It's really hard to find, but that was probably one of my favorite sketches aside from all the digital shorts.
Yeah.
The Andy Samberg digital shorts, like nothing compares in my opinion, but
the Lonely Island, all of his Lonely Island stuff, it's pure genius.
Mm-hmm. I was just listening to Mother Lover the other day. It just randomly came on shuffle in my car, and I was like, I really hope nobody can hear me just jamming out to this. But
it's so good. I have the Justin Timberlake and Andy Samberg Dick in a Box Funko Pops.
Me too. It's right there. I have mine right there. That's nice. So
funny. mine is in my wife's bedroom, like above our bed.
Love that.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's great.
Which of those three are your favorites out of all the trilogies?
what's the other one? I can't think of it offhand. There's
So it's Dick in a Box, The
yeah,
Golden Rule
the
with
Golden
Lady
Rule.
Gaga, and then
Yeah.
it's Mother. No, it's Dick in a Box, Mother Lover, and then The Golden Rule.
I
Yeah,
I don't know. It's honestly, it's either, I mean, Dick in a Box was first, and
yeah.
it's iconic. But Mother Lover is really funny, and I love how sincere, like, and loving it also kind of is.
Yeah, I agree. It's my favorite one. I think it's better written and it's quicker wit, which I
Yeah.
appreciate.
And was it Susan Sarandon is one of the mothers, and
Hmm.
Chef's Kiss.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh my gosh, I love that they included that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Okay. Back to music. Uh what are some of your favorite bands that got you into this scene?
Oh gosh. One of my like big emo awakenings is it's pretty typical. It's MCR. I feel like
Yeah.
you can't go wrong. That one was really a Three Cheers era. MCR was my gateway, and I never was the same ever again. Um,
Totally.
that one was definitely huge. And then it kind of trickled down after that. I was in middle school when this happened, so I mean I was pretty young. But then it came like Fallout Boy, AFI, Panic at the Disco, Census Fail. And then it kind of just evolved from there. Then became like Thursday, and then I just kind of started going down like different avenues, listening to
Yeah.
like a little bit heavier things, and then I kind of went more like the electronic core, I don't know. There's a lot of different. I
Oh yeah.
tried to say electronic core because it's very vague.
Sure.
But then getting into like the really big, like the Fueled by Ramen, that whole
Yep.
circle too, like that, all of those were like massive to me.
Fueled
So,
Fueled by Ramen was fun because it was like the second time that had happened in our scene where a label was really a focal point. Like obviously number one is Drive Through Records. It was the first one.
mhm.
It's the one that people remember more than anything. But Fueled by Ramen was like right after that. And they had they were one of those, they were the label that, like, if you were on Fueled by Ramen, everyone listened to you. You're like,
Yeah.
it was like same thing as like Drive Through Records. You're like, oh, Drive Through Records got a new band. I'm gonna listen to it. I like this now.
Yeah, well, I think it's really interesting too because especially like back then, where the internet was still kind of coming up, the
Yeah,
discoverability wasn't as easy as it is now. Like
yeah,
now, I mean, I definitely I'm not a band, so take this with a grain of salt. But I think
yeah.
now, like there's more opportunities for bands to push themselves and to be
Hmm.
seen
Yeah,
organically, aside from just going to a show.
right.
Like that would be 20 years ago, you'd have to go to a show
Hmm.
to see and hear a band, and it's harder to reach an audience across the United States, unless you're
Oh yeah,
touring.
yeah.
So it's really cool to kind of see that. We saw that huge way with MySpace as well. MySpace was a huge discoverability tool for bands, and it
Hmm.
blossomed so many careers. Like that's how like the Fray became big, was MySpace music.
Yeah.
Like, and it's really cool to see it, but it's just so interesting now because we look at labels like Fueled by Ramen, who signed all these powerhouse bands that just blew all of their careers, but now it's like so opposite.
Yeah.
It's so different. Like it's like you now labels are looking for people who do that organically on their own, and
Hmm.
then it's kind of the same shift that we've seen with fashion too, where it's like the consumer is now telling the bigger companies what's popular
Yeah.
versus the other way around.
Yeah, it's super weird, right? Like especially growing up, your entire like life has been one way, and then it's like, oh,
Hmm.
I guess I kind of have the power.
Yeah.
Because like,
Well, it's
yeah,
well, I mean, even think about like not MySpace, MTV.
yep,
MTV was huge. Like that was the network. That was kind of like the goal is when you got your band on MTV, you knew you made it. Like
hmm,
whether they're airing a video, whether they were appearing on TRL, if they were, in any sort of aspect, like on MTV Spring Break,
Yeah,
that was kind of guaranteed to have eyes on you,
totally.
which is just crazy. That's how I discovered a lot of bands too. That's where I'd get up in the morning every day before school, and I'd found, that's where I discovered MCR. That's where I started seeing, like,
Hmm.
remember watching the Panic at the Disco "I Write Sins Not Tragedies" video for the first time,
Yeah.
and to think now about like how significant that moment was, because that's what everybody thinks about when you say like emo. They think of like a handful of songs,
Hmm.
but like to be able to witness that firsthand and
Hmm.
see that explosion and be like, oh my, like just not understand at the time how
Yeah.
pivotal those experiences and moments that would define an entire generation.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I remember, like, especially like the when MTV has done the unplugged, since the 90s, because
Yeah.
Nirvana is one of their biggest things. But I remember, like, I don't remember shit from MTV Unplugged except for Nirvana and Dashboard Confession. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's it. Anything else, any of the other ones they did, I don't remember. But I have the Dashboard Confessional, like, live album with the like the DVD inside it and stuff.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's
I wish I would have kept mine. I got rid of a lot of mine, unfortunately, but
eBay. I mean, it's just the
yeah.
same. eBay. You got it. I think that's where
But
I
yeah,
got. I think that's where I got mine. Maybe at a record store. We don't really have. I don't really have one of those up here. It's wild.
it's like obsolete anymore.
I know. But
It's wild.
me and my wife, we like to, we get our vinyls because that's the cool thing now.
Yeah.
But but if we can, we'll snag CDs if there's like good spots. Like, we'll check savers and stuff. I found randomly at our savers, uh I found like a whole bunch of like local bands that were popular. Have you ever heard of Sing It Loud?
Ah,
Okay, they started to pop off. They're from Minnesota, but I found like their out two of their albums, and a couple of like the before they joined as like a super group, they were in other bands, and I found like their other band CDs, and all of them were signed. And so I'm like,
oh my
this is,
gosh.
and they're all my friends too. So I felt like I bought all of them, and I sent them all a picture, and I'm like, yo, guys, I found these at Savers.
What a find, too.
I
Like,
know,
that's such a cool find.
I know. It was fun. It was so funny though. But yeah, I'll check Savers every once in a while, see like if there's any good like pop punk emo, especially if I can find like hardcore. I always look for cassettes too, but there's never anything other than like country.
Yeah, that's it. I
A
think
lot of
everybody, yeah, they either have them still or they just, I don't know where they end up. Like,
yeah.
my mom still has a bunch of cassettes, but it's a lot of country and a lot of stuff that no
I
one would probably listen to, but
I do have Blink 182 Dude Ranch on cassette, which is
oh,
awesome.
that's cool.
It's fun. I love it.
I think it's one of those fun things too. Is like where you just appreciate those things. Like I think I appreciate those relics more now than I did at the time.
All that's one of the things that us like millennials and stuff like that, we were all we don't give up our childhood. Like, if you look behind me, I have cases of toys.
Yeah, I
Like,
was gonna say I could see all the cases in there. I
that
can't see what it exactly is, but I can tell
I
it's like
mean,
collectibles.
they're all my toys, and like a lot of them are like my dad didn't get rid of my toys from when I was a kid. And so
Okay.
I still have them, and then I still will buy toys. But I also have like an entire like half case dedicated to Elvira because I'm just obsessed. Like,
She's
I
an
have,
icon though. She's an
dude,
icon.
she's the best. She's so awesome. Such a rad lady.
You have one of those Elvira pinball machines too.
I wish. I do have a unpopped 6-pack of Elvira Night Brew. She in the 90s had come out with like a beer, and I have like the 6-pack of it, like the bottles, and never popped, never
I
drank.
know my father-in-law is like a Kiss super fan, and it just baffles me some of the things that they came out in like the 70s, 80s, and 90s memorabilia. I'm just like, they really just said, let's do it all.
Yeah.
Like it's
Well,
such a like,
Kiss was insane, like with their marketing. Like they were
oh yeah.
geniuses. Everything that we have and do today, like marketing and merch wise, is because of Kiss.
Oh, they did it right. And it's just like the things I think I watched like an episode of like Gene Simmons' Family Jewels. This was a long time ago, but it was just
That's a good
the
one, though. It's a
whole
good show.
the whole room he had full of Kiss memorabilia down to like condoms to coasters. And I'm just like, there's literally a Kiss everything. Like,
And funny enough, like I haven't seen that, but knowing Gene Simmons and him being on camera, I could see him being like, "So we have this, we have this, we have these Kiss condoms," and picking it up and being like, "I mean, I never used this," or something like because
something
something Gene Simmons,
I think you had that tone down perfectly right too of like how he
Oh,
talks. It's just very collected, very calm. Like
I
this
never used this.
is
Yeah.
But man, they put on a good show. They really do. I gotta give them props.
I've never seen him live, but I've seen plenty of videos to agree.
Yeah. I saw
Yeah.
them 2 years ago and it was fantastic. I was like, dang, that's probably one of the best live performances, especially considering how old they are. I'm like, these younger bands have literally no excuse. They can
I
do it. Anyone. Like,
Well, speaking of that, cut last 2 months ago now, I think, or last month, I saw Willie Nelson.
oh wow.
Dude's
Oh,
91 years old. He played the guitar. He sang. 91, I would say he killed it.
that's amazing. Like, I
Yeah.
think that really goes to show the people who really, really, really loved their craft and
Love.
still continue to love their craft.
Yeah. That was iconic though. That was awesome. I
I'm
brought
sure that's gonna be an amazing memory to be able to hold on to.
I brought my dad to it, so
Aw.
I was excited for that.
Did
Yeah.
he enjoy it too?
Oh yeah, he was telling me stories the whole time. Oh, this song. I remember this song. I was driving in a blizzard with my head out the window to the singing it the whole drive.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, it was fun. It's a good time. I love that. I love my dad's stories. It's always fun. Always entertaining for sure.
Oh, I'm sure, yes.
All right. So before we like go to a quick break, I have two more questions. All right. And normally I'd skip one and be like, all right, let's go. But I really want to ask this one. I think it'll be fun.
Okay.
So being such a strong elder emo voice, I thought you'd be the perfect candidate for this scenario. All right. So you are going to be tasked with selecting the 4 heads that will be carved for the rest of eternity into the Mount Rushmore of the scene. So also, I want you to take a twist with this. All right. It's already going to be tough, but a twist with it. It doesn't have to be a person, it could be a what. So, who or what will go up there? You could have the sidekick or a razor phone. Guys, but what is the 4 carvings for the emo Mount Rushmore?
This is so much pressure.
I know.
It
I do
would
these
be
things.
it would be an absolute shame if I did not put Van's Warp Tour down because that was
Yep.
an absolute defining moment
Yeah.
in music for a very, very, very long time and shaped so many influential bands'
Yeah.
careers.
Yeah. Exactly.
Um, and a what? I say Vans Warped Tour. That's a given.
Sure. I agree.
I feel like this is a tough one. I have my work cut out for me. I'm
I
like, I
know.
want to pick bands, but then I don't want to like not pick bands and be like, well, why didn't we include that? Um,
Well, but what you currently have done for number one is picking bands. It's pretty much picked all of them because Vans
that's
Warped
true.
Tour brought you every single band and it created like how we view the scene pretty much.
I will say, I think if we continue on that route, I'm gonna say MySpace Music because I think that that was also a
I'm glad you
defining moment.
I'm glad you did that.
I'm writing this
I
down so
agree.
I don't lose track.
Okay. I'm glad you did that though, because I agree. I was thinking my personal once you said Warp Tour, I was like MySpace.
Yep. Because I feel like those two went hand in hand for launching so many careers. Because I
Yeah.
think that like at that time too, like that's where a lot of labels were finding artists. They were like, "Oh, this band's like blowing up on MySpace." But
I remember talking to David. Oh no, sorry. Completely wrong name. I'm dumb. Richard from Drive Through Records on MySpace.
oh no way.
So yeah, like that's where people were being found a lot.
When I
It's like
yeah,
TikTok now.
it is, yeah. Well, it's interesting too, and that's like where I get a lot of questions too. Like a lot from like a lot of the younger kids is they're like, oh, like I think I think there's a big misconception about MySpace music, but I remember like this is very, very visceral, very specific, but like you would go to MySpace music little tab
Mm-hmm.
and then it would show you all the artists that were trending. But if you really wanted to find somebody based upon a genre, you had to dig. You had
Yeah.
to dig, you had to listen to a lot of music, but then they would rank these bands
Mm-hmm.
based upon traffic. So it would update. I don't know how often it would update, but I think it was like maybe like once a week or maybe it was like once a day. I don't know. But then it would put a whole list like of the top 100 bands that were
Mm-hmm.
making waves on that platform.
Yeah, it was
And
just
it
kind of like
was,
pure volume. It was
mhm.
just like that, but it was pure volume inside MySpace.
Yeah, and then they had those MySpace compilation CDs of like
Mm-hmm.
bands that were trending, and they put like I saw a picture of one. I think it was like circulating around on the internet a while ago, and it had like a lot of bands now that are considered massive, and I think it was just such a defining moment for music.
And MySpace even had their own record label for a short time. I
Yeah,
I remember like one of my favorite bands was like one of the first bands to sign to MySpace Records, and they just slept on. They should be so much bigger than they ever were.
wait,
But
who was it?
Sherwood,
I don't think I've heard of them.
oh, it it'll it'll make you feel feelings for sure. They make
I like that.
they're a feel feelings band.
We'd like a good cry. I mean, I'm down to.
You gotta check it, write it down.
I'm
Sherwood.
writing it down right now.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of what else have been done there. Like, how many heads are? Is it five heads on Mount Rushmore, or is it four?
I think it's only four.
Is it four? I can't
I have
remember.
I have four written down. So
That sounds right.
yeah, I
I
mean you
haven't
got
looked.
Teddy Roosevelt, Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson,
I failed history so many times, so this is like I'm just gonna nod and be like, "You're probably right." Um,
Joe Biden? No.
I don't know about that one, but um, gosh. So I worked through MySpace. I'm trying to think of other things that were. I feel I'm impartial to MTV because I feel like they did, but I also like have reservations because I feel like they kind of elevated things that were already kind of doing well. I don't know.
I feel like over MTV would almost just be TRL.
Yeah, I say TRL or like Fuse. I feel like Fuse
Oh,
was a
Fuse was
little,
great.
I
Hmm.
feel like that was a little bit more like the bands, but that for me that came later, so I don't feel like it's as defining for me necessarily. Um,
Where are you on Tony Hawk Pro Skater?
that's another good one. I honestly forget about that. That soundtrack was so good.
Yeah,
So good.
it's an icon.
Yeah, like that was looking back, I'm like, you know what? I think I on the topic of video games, I'm gonna have to say Guitar Hero.
Yeah,
I feel like Guitar Hero, it wasn't necessarily like a launch, but I feel like it was such a part of the culture. And I
yeah.
feel like it not only put kids that were younger onto older music,
Hmm.
but I think it kind of bridged that gap between generations, which
And
I
it
loved.
and it really showcased Dragon Force very well.
Yes. Yes. Every
I like that I see your Guitar Hero guitars over there.
yes.
Mine are right over here.
I'm actually working on a sketch
Ooh,
for this. It's in the works right now. By the time this comes out, it may be out. I don't know. I can't make any promises, but it
all
is
right.
in the works. I know it's like I said, it's not going to be as a popular one, but I'm going to say Guitar Hero.
Okay.
I just feel like it was a cultural reset, and I feel like it was just kind of like a massive thing because I feel like it did showcase a lot of rock music, but I think on the flip side of that too, where we had a lot more of the metalheads, it
Hmm.
influenced a lot more of the scene music. Like we saw like AFI, we saw I
Yeah.
mean Event Sevenfold's always kind of been in the metal industry, but I feel like they kind of came out more like when I was like, you know, a teen. So I think it kind of again, it kind of brought that it bridged the gap between generations.
So for me, okay, and the way I explain everything, it's like with regards to like unsigned pop punk and things like that. When I think of emo, I think of the scene in general, like
Yeah.
which is post-hardcore, pop punk,
Hmm.
emo, ska, and a lot of metal,
Yeah.
because it all coincides and overlaps, you know.
Yeah.
It's same thing as like if you went to a show, I talk about this all the time too. If you went to a show in the earlier 2000s and like the teens, like you would have an emo like acoustic artist with a pop punk artist
Hmm.
with a hip hop artist with a metal artist, it's
Right.
and everybody stayed and watched everybody. It was just the way it was.
Hmm.
It's not like that so much anymore, but that's what unsigned pop punk's here to bring it back. That
Yes.
is the goal.
I
uh
love that.
just the community. That's this whole thing started as the platform for building that community,
I love
because
that too.
it's still there. It's still
It
there.
is.
We're
Yeah, it
all
is.
still here. Well, I guess maybe not all of us, but so many of us are still here.
That's true. I think we just lost our way.
It,
we need to go back to our roots.
yeah, and we need to teach the youngsters, the youth, about community. And
Yeah.
and getting together and going to a show and hanging out and not just videotaping it on your phone to not watch later. uh
That's fair. That's fair.
I only say that because I am so guilty. I take pictures, I take videos. Who watches the videos back?
Yeah.
Not often, but it's there.
No.
It's on your
Yeah.
phone. You did it. You were there. You took it.
Yeah. I try to be good about it. I do the same thing. I mean, every show. Like, I try to at least get like a couple clips and then I put
Yeah.
my phone away. If like a song I really want to hear for a couple seconds, let it hear the chorus and I put it away and I'm done.
Oh yeah. I'll
But
take stuff. I'm gonna send this to my pals. I don't
and
usually.
then you're like, I'm never gonna. Yeah.
I know. Oh, it takes so much space.
It really does. I'm trying to think of my last Mount Rushmore. 'Cause I'm like, I have Warped Tour, MySpace, Music, Guitar Hero.
And Gerard Way.
I'm like, we can't forget Gerard Way.
Gerard
Kind of
Way.
like,
Gerard Way's leather jacket.
yeah, it's like anything he does, I will forever worship. Trying
He's
to think.
he's awesome. He's very creative. He's got a lot of like I love his comic books, his music. It's good stuff.
And I just put the trailer out yesterday for the final season of Umbrella Academy, and I was like, so excited.
I
Uh,
haven't watched it yet.
it
The
looks really
trailer,
good.
the trailer. I've seen.
Yeah. I don't know what my last one would be. I'm like looking around because I'm in a room full of constant. It is an absolute shit show. I have literally everything all over the floor. Um, mm,
So that's also why I've been talking and just spouting off nonsense to try and give you time.
I
But
know.
I'm also probably just distracting.
I have no.
Well, you know what? Let's fucking blow it up. We'll get rid of that fourth head. There's nothing
I
more
mean,
punk rock than that.
we can always throw in. We'll throw in Tony Hawk Pro Skate. I mean, I gotta get. I mean, you were on to something like that. Does have a killer soundtrack.
or Monster also. I mean,
Yeah,
there's like it's hard. There's a ton of options. A ton.
I might throw in either MP3 players because I
Oh
feel like
yeah.
that was a massive way to not only share the love of music, but it revolutionized how we listen to music.
Yeah, the
Um,
iPod.
yeah, iPods. My other thought, what I just had another thought. What was it? Gosh, my brain is just today. Oh man.
What were those like little mini ones, like the Song Kick or something like that, where it had like
Yeah,
a
or the shuffle, the little tiny ones. I have one
no,
actually right
I
here.
think it just had it was there were ones that just like had singles. It was just like you bought it and it was
Not
like
these,
Backstreet
right?
Boys. No, the
Okay.
shuffle, that's awesome though.
I have a whole collection of technology, and I'm like, you talk about this? Um, I'm so sorry. I say, okay, I'm gonna throw another wrench in here. I'm gonna say LimeWire. I'm gonna say LimeWire was a massive discoverability tool too, because how many times did you go to download something that you thought was a band and you ended up with something else, and you're like, oh, that's another artist or band I'd never heard of, and then you ended up falling in love with another band entirely. Happened to
That's
me
true.
all the time.
I didn't actually use LimeWire very often. I was a Napster kid, and
Okay.
then I kind of grew out of it a little bit, but I still rolled with. I mean, LimeWire that was next. You know,
Yeah, it was. Yeah, essentially the same thing. I feel like, but I felt like
it
Napster's
was.
a little safer. Like,
Oh yeah, LimeWire was just like, did I download My Chemical Romance or did I download porn? I don't know.
yeah, it was a very much a gamble, which is funny actually. I was looking through an old file. I'm kind of a digital hoarder,
Yeah,
um, but I found a whole file of all of my LimeWire audios, and I just thought out the other day where I have all these folders, and that some other artist got lumped into another artist, that it was not even their stuff, but it was like under the same artist. But I ended up finding, I was like, hey, I like this band now too. So
I I saw something on one of the social medias, and man, did it like just like time travel me back though. Like when on your iPod, it was like this, who remembers this? And it was like, you know, uh like Taking Back Sunday, but it was like 17 different Taking Back Sundays files because they were spelt differently or this was
mhm.
capitalized differently.
I literally this iPod here. This is my OG iPod from
Yeah,
2009, and I it's the same thing. Especially if you did like a compilation CD where it was like various artists, it would
yeah,
upload every single one.
Yep.
under a different tag, and it was such a
Yeah, so you'd be like, I want to listen to Taking Back Sunday, and then you'd go and be like, there's like 20 different. It's like, son of which one
exactly
is it under?
right. And you just put it on shuffle. You're like, I don't have to
Yeah,
remember.
you don't. All right. Now, last question. This one is also probably a thinker, but it's not a hard one like that last one.
Okay.
This was just like asking for a little bit of advice. So before we go to our quick break, if you could give our listeners a piece of advice that you know now that you wish you knew when you were first starting your your creator journey, what would that be?
Like creator as in like on social media kind of
Yeah.
thing, or
Yeah, for people that maybe are like interested in like, well, I want to try starting that. What wish I had like a little bit of advice. What would you give them?
yeah. I would say don't be afraid to be disliked
Yeah.
because I think there's always going to be people that are not going to support you
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what your interests are, how you look, etc. And I think that is something that I've had to come to terms with too.
Yeah.
I think for me, like I look pretty traditional. I don't look traditionally alternative, and I know that there's some people that don't love that about me, and that's okay. But I
Yeah.
think at the end of the day, it's not about like the fashion, and I think definitely the fashion is a huge part of
Yeah.
it, but I think at the forefront it should always be the love of music. And I think that like understanding that again, not everyone's going to love you, not everyone's going to agree with what you have to say, but I think putting your own take and being original and just trusting your gut with putting things out there that you feel good about. I think
Absolutely.
that's the key. So,
Yeah. And with the especially, with the age we're in, like you're gonna have haters, you're gonna have people that are shit talkers, but realistically it's like whether they don't probably actually even dislike you. It has nothing to do with that. They're just
yeah.
unhappy people. They just,
Yeah.
like they probably didn't even watch most of the video. They're just needed to say something. And
Oh, 100%.
there's so many of them. And it's just like, so if you see a hater, just let it go. You can delete it or don't. But don't let it ruin your day.
Yeah.
Because
And
that's what they
also,
want.
yeah, and I think there's also been a lot of like negativity. And I think there's definitely space to hold people accountable if they're doing
Yeah.
something awful. But I
Oh,
think
absolutely.
there's a big bandwagon I keep seeing right now, and every time I go on YouTube, it's somebody just there's like the same five people that people don't like, and I've seen 100 different videos of the same topic just repurposed. And I'm like, why are we choosing to like just make our entire platform about hating somebody? To me, that just seems really strange. Like the whole community was kind of based upon the love of music. Like share music, share the good things. Like why? Like I don't know. To me, that's just something that's like I think is a little odd. Like don't get me wrong. Again, if people are doing something wrong that's being harmful, absolutely call them out. But I think it's just kind of strange to jump on the bandwagon of a hate train. You know?
Sure. And so one of the things that also I so just on that sort of like kind of note, we do like reaction videos like to new music or like new to us music
Yeah.
on our YouTube channel. And one of the things that I like that we do is, so anytime we listen to something, it's we haven't listened to it or we haven't watched the video, it's a natural reaction.
Yeah.
And along the same lines of people like hating on stuff, it's also okay to dislike something. That's
Yeah,
also
absolutely.
like so just like we think it's funny is so Gibby, who's not here today, he
Mhm.
did a reaction to Falling in Reverse and Jelly Roll's new song, and he didn't like it. And
Yeah.
but he got a lot of hate for disliking a song. And
Huh.
I think that's silly. It's like
Yeah.
you don't have to like everything, and that's okay. You all like that's the best part of music is you can have an opinion, and online we can talk about it, and you can disagree, but you don't have to be mean about it. I
Yeah.
I think that's silly for people to be mean about somebody's opinion on something so normal as liking or disliking a song.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's it just goes along the lines of don't let haters hate bring you down, even if they're really mean about it.
Yeah.
It's
Because like
silly.
sometimes like my favorite bands put out songs and I'm like, I'm not into it. Like,
Yeah,
and that's okay. Like, that doesn't mean I hate the band. It's just
yeah.
like I don't love this release. I think they put out better, or
Mm-hmm.
it's just like you said, it's like it's so subjective and it's personal taste, and it's like just because you're like I don't really love this song doesn't mean it's a bad song. And I think people take it. I think what's really strange right now too, as somebody who is on the internet space, everything is very black and white, and there's
Yeah.
no like
No middle.
there's no middle, there's no gray. And I'm like, you can like the artist, you may not like the song, or you may like the song, may not love the rest of the band's that's okay.
Yeah.
Like it's not like this or that. It can be here too. Like
Yeah. And like I
so
said, it's okay. And be like, you could like leave if you are so inclined, you want to leave a comment, because we love comments. Comments are great.
yeah.
And you can be like, I don't agree with that. I think you're wrong. I think you're a bit silly in your opinion because it's wrong. Or some, whatever. There's so many ways to go about it. But like, dude's really looks like a fucking idiot. Like, what a dumbass. It's like, what? Why? Why? Because you don't like a song? Stop it. You are being
Yeah.
dramatic.
Right. And just because I like a song doesn't mean you can't
Yeah,
like the song. It just
exactly.
because you like it, I don't. That doesn't change
Yeah,
how the
it's a,
song. Yeah,
yeah. It's
it's
like, oh,
both can exist.
oh, you bullied me into liking it. Well, good job. Thanks. Honestly, I'm really happy that you called me out on my looks, because I like the song now. You really turned me around.
That's something that I don't understand either. Is like I just don't understand why like people think you're going to change your mind if they argue with you
Yeah.
over liking a song. Like it's either you do or you don't. Sometimes songs, yes, they can change your mind, they can grow on you, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like typing a paragraph out is not going to change whether the fact that I like or don't like this song.
Mm-hmm. Me
It's
per
it's odd.
Me personally, sometimes I just like to even ask, well, what don't you like about it? I'm curious. Like, what is it? I mean, you're wrong. You're super wrong, and that's okay. You can't be right all the time. That's okay. But what don't you like about it?
No, it's a
I
strange
Yeah,
time.
yeah, no, for sure. People are nuts. People are wild sometimes. But on that note, we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back with our next segment. What's up, everybody? It's Pat here. I just want to take a minute to thank this week's sponsor, Elder Emo Company. Elder Emo Company is an apparel and accessories brand based around the principle that this was never a phase, it's a way of life. For those of you that reminisce of the days when you would tease your hair, or studded belts, or bracelets, or for those of you that still do, Elder Emo Company got what you need. They do monthly shirt drops with original artwork and are working on new emo themed candles coming to you in October. You can find Elder Emo Company at www.elderemoco.com, or you can get out there, find them at some festivals such as the Hawthorne Heights for Lovers Fest, which they were at this year and are planning to be back next year. So follow them also on their socials so you can keep up to date with what they're doing, where they're going to be at, any sales, new drops. Give them a follow at elderemo.co. And once again, go to www.elderemoco.com to get your new wardrobe today. Thanks so much again to Elder Emo Company for sponsoring today's episode. Now let's get into it. Many of us are getting older and settling down, and thus begin starting our families. As we search for baby clothes and accessories, it's easy to get lost in pastels and all the cutesy safe options. Where's the rock and roll spirit? Where's that punk edge? Where's that pop punk aesthetic that so many of us grew up with? At Little Rocker Clothing, they got you covered. Their collection brings the rebellious spirit of rock and roll straight to your little one's wardrobe. From black shirts and onesies adorned with bold skulls, rock-on horns, and electric bolts to accessorize that scream individuality, they're here to make sure your baby's style is as fierce as yours. And for those who want to rock out in style themselves, they've got select designs in adult sizes too. Head on over to www.littlerockerclothing.com today to pick up some rad new clothing for your favorite little ones and yourself. And make sure to follow them on social media at Little Rocker Clothing. Embrace the rock and roll lifestyle with Little Rocker Clothing, where your family style gets the punk edge it deserves. Check them out today and let your family's true passions shine. Thank you so much to Little Rocker Clothing for sponsoring today's episode. And we're back. Thanks so much for sticking around. If you don't want to hear ads, you can join us on Patreon for ad-free videos. But now is time for this is everybody's favorite part, because everybody loves food. Everybody loves learning about food from all over the place. We just had somebody from Italy on the show, and that's like the food mecca.
Oh, heck yeah.
It was awesome. It was like, and I mean, when you think about it, Italy, like what is more pop punk than pizza? And that's from Italy.
That's true. That is true.
It's the most pop punk thing ever. And they made it. They created it.
I feel like Italy has some of the most innovative cuisine, though. Everything is just so cool. I've never been there. It's a bucket list, but yeah.
I mean, just pasta in general, like, is from Italy, and like gelato. They didn't create ice cream, but they perfected it. They got some good desserts, good. I mean, everything there. He had a lot to say. He had a lot to say about it, about some Italian cuisine. So, and apparently there is if you like ice cream, apparently there is an Italian like ice cream thing you can get like in the States. Magnum. Have you ever heard
Oh yeah. Yeah, they have it at the grocery store. It's a little
It's from Rome.
I did not know that.
It's a Roman company. So next time you try it, you'll be like, this. I knew this was better than American ice cream for a reason. I knew it.
That's good to know. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's tasty stuff. I bought some after he told me that it was like because he was like, I think it's called Magna, like that's how they pronounce it. And we were like learning about it, and he was like, yeah, no, this. And we're like, Magnum? That I've seen Magnum in like Target. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, it's from here. I was like, no fucking way. I gotta go get some. That's awesome.
That's funny.
But now for your food questions. The
Ew.
official Travel Oregon website states you've probably read about Oregon's incredible ingredients, from black truffles and hazelnuts to sustainably caught tuna, salmon, and crab. With that being said, when we say Oregon food, or Oregon, however you want to pronounce it, what comes to mind to you?
I think of coffee because I feel like it's just like there's a coffee shop literally on every corner. I
Right.
feel it's I I feel like it's just full of like tons of cuisine. Like
Hmm.
it's just really all over the place. But when I think of like, especially when I think of like Portland, that's like where I live the closest to. I just think of vegan food because that's
Sure.
just primarily like what the market is out here. It's like has the most amount of like vegan options out of anywhere, I feel like. And they're all so good. Like I'm not full vegan. I did vegan for about a year and I it was just really challenging. I'm lactose intolerant, so I do
Okay.
opt for a lot of like vegan things because I know they don't have like any dairy in them.
You're right.
Um, but we have like just so many good restaurants. I think like for me, I always think of like just vegan food, and I think of like coffee shops.
Sure.
Like that's just what feels like very like on brand. I feel like
Yeah. I
I don't
mean,
know.
so I'm from Duluth, Minnesota. So correct me if I'm wrong, but like coffee would make sense because
Yeah,
Starbucks is from there, right? That's where it
yeah, they're from
started.
Seattle. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right. I was right. I knew it.
Yep.
Got my coffee knowledge on point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We just
okay.
have so many like cool like coffee roasters too.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there's just so many cool shops. Like even like by my house, there's tons of cool little places. I don't know. Like I when I think of like specialty food up here, I think of beer too. I feel like beer is like just a capital. It's like coffee, beer, and vegan food are everywhere. And we like you can't have a bad beer up here. Like it's just I will say like it's just top notch.
Sure. Makes sense.
The further you get away from it, it's not as good. It's just kind of like the capital of just the best beer, I feel like. But that's just my opinion. But
Well, so that makes sense because I don't know if you know this or not, but so Duluth also has very good coffee. We also have very good breweries, and Portland and Duluth are kind of like sister cities. We are very similar
okay,
in how we like in how like the city looks and like the type of people. It's
okay,
like it's really weird because yeah, I mean like I don't know if that's changed since the last time I heard that, but uh we're very similar in how our cities are.
that's good to know.
We
I've never been out there, so I can't like attest to that.
we don't
But
we don't have a Voodoo Donuts, but
oh yeah, I
you
haven't
know,
been to Voodoo in so long, and it's just crazy that they have them out there on like the East Coast now too. Because
yeah,
it's like I started going there like when I was in high school. I haven't been there in a long time. The last time I was there, it wasn't a great time. I'm not a big donut person. I used to
okay,
be, but I think they're just a little overhyped for what they are.
sure.
But
We don't have anything cool like a cool donut place in Duluth, but in Minneapolis there is a donut place called Glam Doll Donuts, and
okay,
it's my favorite. I have a
that's good.
sticker on my car. Like I love it.
We
They're a delight.
Yeah, we have Blue Star. Blue Star donuts are really good. I think they're still. I haven't been there in a long time, but they're kind of like it's kind of like the Voodoo donut. I can't talk Voodoo donut, but they're a little bit more gourmet. They're like less sugary.
Okay.
But it's really I like ice cream a little bit more. We have salt and straw here. I know there's salt and straws like all over the place now, but that's like one of my favorite options because they have so many good vegan options, and then they do like different ice cream flavors every month, and they're like a whole series, which is cool.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, we have some good food up here, and I'm
Yeah.
extremely grateful for that.
Well, if you ever come near Duluth, or well, you if you ever come to Duluth, I'll show you our similarities.
Yes, I'm like, we'll definitely have to hit up the breweries because I love
Yeah.
me a good dark beer. So
Okay. We got some cool breweries around here.
love that.
Yeah. I it's actually like really close to my house. The whole, it's like we have a district basically. Because Duluth's not
Ooh,
huge, so we just have like a brewery district. It's like a big strip, and it's like the cool hipster area. There's like breweries and really good restaurants and stuff. It's pretty fun.
that does sound. I'm starting to get hungry now. Like I had a snack earlier, but I'm like, ooh,
That
I'm like thinking about dinner, and I'm like, ooh, I kind of want to go to like a brewery, like go to a brewery, get some dinner, maybe get like a
yeah,
beer.
yeah.
Now I'm
That's
like thinking about food.
that is what this segment does every time. I'm getting hungry. It's just what happens. So, speaking of getting hungry, let's move on. You are okay. You're going to be tasked with creating something else here, but this is going to be the Jessica Conrad meal deal at your favorite fast food place. So you
Oh
know how like
gosh.
McDonald's has been doing, like those, like I don't like the Travis McCoy meal. That's not obviously Travis McCoy, but they've had random
Yeah,
meal deals. So you can create your own meal deal at your favorite fast food place. It doesn't have to be McDonald's. It could be wherever you want it. What restaurant and what's the meal?
I would say Taco Bell.
And
Taco
that's the
Bell's
correct
kind of
answer. Yep.
that's my guilty pleasure. But then
Mhm.
I was thinking, I'm like, this sounds so gross in theory. Like it sounded better in my head. But I was like, it'd be cool to do like a mac and cheese thing. But I'm like, a mac and cheese taco sounds like a terrible time. Um,
I'd fuck with that. I'm sorry. I really would.
like I've had a mac and cheese burger and it was great, but I'm
I've
like, you can't bring a burger to a taco joint. That feels wrong. Um,
but hold up. All right, hold the phone. So I've had mac and cheese pizza, I've had a mac and cheese burger. Both are delicious. What if, you had the Taco Bell meat, right?
mhm.
You had some mac and cheese in there?
We could do like a pulled pork taco with mac and cheese.
Oh, be still my heart.
Did we just come up with like the new meal of the century? Like we gotta trademark that before
Oh my
someone
gosh.
takes that.
We got
Um,
it. I would eat that so hard.
we could do mac and cheese with like pulled pork, and then we could do like some barbecue sauce and a taco, and then like a side of like tater tots, which is so not Taco Bell, but
Well, they got their
we
like
could
nacho fries,
yeah, we could do something like that. Like
like nacho
we could
tots.
put like nacho cheese on the tots,
Yeah,
like
not
make
some
it.
nacho tots.
Yep, that
Yeah.
sounds like an epic mealtime meal, but yeah, like
But we
that's
got to it before Sauce Boss. Okay? We did
yes,
this.
we did this. Yeah, so we're gonna do the mac and cheese taco. Probably like probably eat a bite and then like immediately get like a stomach ache, but it was worth it.
You eat it
Worth it.
you eat it fast enough, your stomach ache won't come until after it's gone.
That's fair. That's fair. Enjoy it now, suffer later.
Yeah, that should be Taco Bell's tagline. Enjoy it now, suffer later.
Ah,
It's
that's
it's just kind of like the South Park. Do you watch South Park?
I have not. I've watched that couple
Okay.
episodes here and there, but like not religiously, no.
It's like the South Park episode where they talk about Chipotle, and you have to buy Chipotle away to clean the graphic, the blood stains out of your underwear. That's how you clean it, with the Chipotle away. And they're
Believe that.
and then they're talking, it's like, well, why don't you just stop eating Chipotle? It's like, I'm not gonna stop eating Chipotle. I'm just gonna buy the Chipotle away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Huh.
it's like Taco Bell, you know?
hmm It's worth it.
Worth it.
I've never regretted it, but
No, I never regret it every week. I definitely don't.
next time I go through the drive-thru, like, can you make a mac and cheese taco? They're like, ma'am, what are you talking about? Like,
Have you tried the Cheez It uh crunch wrap yet?
no, I have not. That it isn't good.
Yes. I thought so. But
It's kind of given
you
like
have
it's
to
given
eat
like
it.
the Little Caesars like pretzel pizzas. That's what all I
It's
could
better
think of
than
when I
that.
saw that.
It's better than that. You have to eat it like right away though, because otherwise the cheese it will get soggy. But if you like eat it at the restaurant, it's crispy. It's still crispy.
So it's like on a time. It's like on a time limit.
Yeah, and like it doesn't taste. It doesn't taste like a Cheez-It to me as much as it tastes um like flavor blasted goldfish, which is
Okay,
the superior goldfish.
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
now I'm
it
curious.
I think it's delicious personally, but you be your own judge, and that you're gonna message me later and be like, "You are full of shit. This is terrible. What is wrong with you?" I'll be like, "I love Taco Bell so much. I'm sorry."
I do like I that's my ritual after every show. I'm coming home from a concert. I'm just like Taco Bell. I don't care what time it is. Taco Bell.
Well,
Just
it's one of the only places that's still open
oh yeah,
as well.
100%.
I mean, I wouldn't go anywhere else anyways, but I agree.
Yeah,
Okay, we got
that's
one.
true.
I got one more food for thought question for you. This one's significantly shorter. I had one of my friends help with these questions, and so I was really happy with it with the questions they added. So, if emo was a 3-course menu, so like an app, dinner, and a dessert, what would it be?
Oh
I
my
th-
gosh.
I think dinner is probably pretty easy. What for me, I would say.
I don't know why, but my head went to Weezer's Pork and Beans. It's not remotely emo at all, but
Dude, Weezer's
I
totally can be is in the emo scene.
I was like, I don't know why I was like pork and beans, and I'm like,
I
that's just like
love
a
it.
song title.
But what a choice though. Is that your app? Your appetizer, some pork
Yeah,
and
well,
beans?
we'll go pork and beans for the app.
That's perfect. That was a perfect question. Or answer perfect answer to that question. I love that.
So we have app, then we have entree, and then dessert. Is that what it was?
It was the appetizer, dinner, and dessert.
Dinner. Okay.
So just 3.
Dinner. Mm.
It doesn't have to go like hand in hand with pork and beans.
I'm trying to think of like song titles. I'm trying. I
Okay.
don't know why I'm like racking my brain for like song titles. I'm like, oh, what would dinner be? I feel like there's a really obvious answer that is just going right over my head.
I mean, I can think of 2 that like there's a 2 of the most like pop punk emo foods just in general. We already talked about both of them.
That's true. That's true. Mm,
Pork and beans though. That's awesome.
I don't know why my head went immediately there.
That's awesome.
Um.
Awesome.
Oh, why am I thinking? I'm struggling a lot with that.
That's okay. I
What
these
would you say for dinner? Like, what would be
I mean,
what were the things that you were thinking?
I mean, pizza or tacos are like the 2 most pop punk foods I think in like the world.
That's yeah.
Pizza is universally like the most like emo food. Like people get it tattooed on them.
Yeah, that's fair. And I feel like there was that whole wave of like Hot Topic merch that just had pizza all over it too.
Right.
Like
Right.
that was a big thing. Gosh, I feel like dessert. I feel like ice cream is I feel like just would be something, but I feel like it would have to be like black and white. Like if we were to do like a vanilla, but the chocolate would have to be like dark, dark, dark chocolate because it needs to like contrast. Like it needs to be so on brand. Like
just
we
fucking
can't wear color.
It's just licorice.
Like licorice, yeah.
Just black licorice.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That would be horrible with ice cream.
Oh, it would be a terrible time. But I feel like it would have to have sprinkles because I feel like scene kids were obsessed with sprinkles for some
Oh yeah.
reason. Like,
No, for sure. Like black and white, but with huge color pops. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that would be the, or I would say that, I just had another train of thought for dessert. Pop Tarts. I feel like
Oh,
Pop
yeah.
Tarts are so, so,
Let's
so
let's
seen.
let's do it. All right. Pork and beans, pizza, and Pop Tarts.
Yep, I like that.
I'd eat all of them. Holy shit.
What a meal. What a
No.
meal.
Do you realize what you did?
What
The
did I do?
the 3-course menu is the 3 P's of emo. They all start with P.
Oh, I didn't even do that intentionally. Wow. We
That's
need to trademark that.
we just need to trademark
The
this
three
episode.
P's of emo. Yeah. Like whole thing is you can't take anything from this episode.
This is art. We've copywritten everything already. So if you're coming to it, we already did it. We're already copywritten and trademarked everything.
Yes.
Don't try.
Oh my gosh.
Don't try.
I love that. Like,
Yeah.
like, yeah. You got me thinking. You got those wheels turning. I'm like, we just came up with something beautiful. I love that. I love that.
We might need to make like a collab video or something about the 3 P's of emo.
We could write a song for it.
We could.
We could write a song. We like cut my life into pieces. This is my pork and beans. And then like I don't know. I'm just throwing in like a parody version, obviously of Papa Roach, but
Cut my life into pizzas.
yep. Yep.
I love it.
And have it tie into Pop Tarts. I don't know.
I'm in. We'll get it. We'll get it. This is the first draft. We'll get there.
That's yeah, we'll get there.
All right. That is it for the food for thought segment. All we have left now is our rapid fire questions.
Friendships will be tested. Rapid fire questions.
So
Ooh.
for this, you're just going to speak from the heart. You're just going to shoot from the hip. Just trust yourself, and whatever the first thing is, just shout it out.
Okay, if something weird comes out, I do not take responsibility for what comes out of my mouth.
That's all right. You've got this. They're either or usually. And also, just so you know, I'll give you 2 options each time. It'll be this or that. If you have a third option, and that's it, it just came like pork and beans just came out, that's okay too.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Monster Energy or Rockstar?
Rockstar.
Yeah,
That or Red Bull. Red Bull.
it does give you wings.
Yes.
All right. Pop punk or emo?
Emo.
Taylor Swift or John Mayer?
Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I also agree. Skinny jeans or baggy pants?
It depends on when you ask me at what age. A couple years ago, I would have said skinny jeans. Now I'm going to say baggy pants.
It is cool again. It's true.
It is. And I just don't really like my legs being suffocated anymore. I'm too old. I've been through it for too long. I just can't do it anymore.
So I'm going to get off. We're getting off the train quick. I was a skinny jeans man. For a very long time, right? And TikTok changed my life again. Okay. Because when we were Young Festival, when that came out, I made a TikTok and I had to. It was like it was announced I had to quickly come up with, I needed Dickies, I needed a studded belt, I needed to grab an old merch. And so that, like, so I made a video of just me running and grabbing all of these things and prepping myself and being like Superman, you know? Because of that video. And since then, I don't think I've worn anything other than Dickies or like gym shorts since.
They're just comfier. They are comfier.
It's so comfy. Before skinny jeans, that it was the Blink 182 era, and all I was wearing was Dickies then.
Yep.
It brought me back, and I remembered why I always wore Dickies, and now I wear them all the time.
Love that.
I don't wear my skinnies anymore. I just wear my baggy Dickies. And if they're hanging off my butt, it's kind of part of the look. It's part of that look. All right. Disney Plus or Netflix?
Netflix.
Oh. Stuffed crust or deep dish pizza?
Deep dish, hands down.
Do you like it normal deep dish or Chicago style?
What's the difference? I don't know if I know the difference between the two.
So deep dish is just like it's in a big old pan, you know, it's kind of like a pan pizza, but it's deep. But Chicago style has the sauce on top.
Oh, that one. I'd say probably deep dish. I think I have had Chicago style. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but
It's its own thing. It's very heavy.
Is it?
Oh yeah.
I think it's probably why. If I had it, I think I had it a long time ago.
It'll give you a stomachache for sure. One piece. It's real heavy.
Let's just stick with the deep dish then, just for safety.
Fair. Vans or Chuck Taylors?
I'm a Converse girl through and through. I know that most people are Vans people. I am a Converse girl.
I personally have both.
I do too. I
wear my Chucks way more.
They got flat feet, and they're great for flat feet.
I got flat feet, and I mean, I could put my Vans on, right? But my Dr. Scholl's are in my Chucks, so
yeah,
you know, it's part of growing up, kids.
Yep.
All right, this is the last one: the All-American Rejects or the Offspring?
Offspring.
Nice. All right, I love it.
I just saw them last year, and they were
so
amazing.
Good.
Amazing.
I just saw the All-American Rejects this year, and they were also amazing.
Really, I still have never seen them. They were a big part of like my emo phase, but I have not listened to them in a hot minute. But I just feel like Offspring has more hits and they've sustained it for longer.
Well, of course, they were from. I think their first like album came out in like '89.
I was gonna say early '90s, but I feel like that's probably right.
Like, because I mean, their Smash, you know, their like first big album that came out in like early '90s, but I could be wrong as well, but I know they had an album before that, so it might have been like '89 or '90 area. I could also Google it, but
yeah, like that sounds right. I don't know the
I'm just
exact
gonna be confident
on those ones. Yeah.
Yeah,
I saw them at When We Were Young last year, and they were probably one of my favorite acts I saw all day. They were so good, so good.
Yeah, they are good. They're super good. And I checked. I had to, and I was right. 1989.
Okay.
June 15th. Yeah.
That was good. That was a good guess, though. That was.
I'm lucky with my good guesses. Well, I was thinking I went on a really big like 90s kick for like a while there too, and I was just like fucking everything alt rock 90s, like this is my life. This is how I live now. And you know, like the Offspring Smash is considered, you know, alt rock. even though it's the Offspring. It's punk, you know, but it's
Yeah.
also alt rock, that album. And I just remembered like that was like early 90s. I'm like, it might be 89. I'm gonna be confident. I'm gonna say it.
Well, it's hard because I feel like a lot of 80s and 90s stuff blends
Yeah,
pretty
so much.
a lot of it, like it's hard sometimes to tell because again trends move so much slower, so a lot of things that were still looks wise in 80s and sounds really bled over into the 90s, even until like the mid 90s. And it's harder, like for example, if you look at pictures from 80s, like 87 to like 94, I can't determine that because again like it stayed pretty linear. I feel like for a longer time.
I say this pretty often. The 80s didn't end until like the mid 90s.
Yeah.
But also like alt rock and grunge and punk and all that was like super prevalent in the 80s and 90s. It overlapped. Everything overlapped in the 80s and 90s so much. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And everything kind of overlaps. I like thinking about like that the Backstreet Boys and shit like that was in the 90s when they originally came out. Like I thought it was like the 2000s, but no, I was in school. I was in school when this came out.
Yeah. Well, they stayed really relevant for a long time though. So like I mean even in the 2000s they were still like their career was still in the height of it. So I mean they were around, but
it's wild. Time's crazy.
It is. It sucks.
It does. But you did it. You finished the podcast. Now
made me think.
I try to put some thinkers in there for sure. But now's your chance. Let everybody know what you got going on, where they can find you. What's next?
What's next? That's a great question. I'm heading into festival season, so I'm going to be going to a lot of festivals. I'm going to definitely be doing When We Were Young, Aftershock, potentially some more. Still kind of waiting to figure out if those are in the works for this year. But I am on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. I am at Jessica Conrad 2_. And yeah, I continually upload videos all the time. So that's where you'll find me.
Hell yeah. Well, everybody, I'm sure if you're here, you know who Jessica is. But if you aren't, please go and look and watch and get into some deep nostalgia and laugh and love, because that's what it's all going to do. So with that, thanks all so much for watching and listening to another episode of Where Did All My Friends Go? And we'll see you all next Monday. Thank you so much for checking out the show. Please hit that like, subscribe, or follow button so you never miss an episode. And thank you so much to those of you who already are. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or anywhere else you stream your podcasts. If you're in the position to help us grow and like behind-the-scenes access and exclusive shows, head on over to our Patreon at www.patreon.com/unsignedpoppunk. Let us know in the comments who you'd like to see on the show and what other content you'd like to see. Thank you all so much.